Hi, this is Ken with Solid Ground Life Insurance, and this is another part of our series on wealth creation in the 21st century. It's your money and your life. And today I really look forward to this presentation because I've been trying to put it together for quite some time now to make it something that people will understand and communicate it effectively so you can make some good decisions regarding your finances long term. So let's go ahead and get started. Before I get into the presentation, of course, I want to give a quick shout out to Solid Ground Financial. These are the guys that we work with at Solid Ground Insurance, Life Insurance, and what they specialize in at solidgroundfinancial.org is getting out of debt. They help people get out of those payday loans, restructure student loans, credit card debt, anything that deals with debt and trying to get out of it. These folks will help you. They have over 12 years of experience in this market, and they know what to do to help you get out of the bondage of debt. So having said that, let's go ahead and move into our presentation today on how you can basically change your financial life. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and I asked a question when I put this picture up on the screen. What do you see? Based on your financial literacy, you'll have a different answer of what other people may see. So understand what this graph represents. You've seen something similar to it before, and I'm sure you have a pretty good understanding of what it looks like and what it's trying to communicate. But my goal today is to help you change what you see, number one, and number two, make a case for the Index Universal Life Insurance policy and why it is a better decision than your qualified plan, which is your 401k, 403b, IRA, and other qualified plans that Wall Street and the government want you to participate in. So understand, once again, I plan to change what you just saw and make a case for why you want to get an IUL, Index Universal Life Policy. What Wall Street doesn't want you to know. There are some myths and secrets about Wall Street and what you just saw in that picture that will change how you think about how your money is being managed. So let's talk about some secrets and myths about the qualified plans. Your 401k, 403b, and I'll just call them QPs or qualified plans going forward. Here's a secret that you probably don't know. 30% of the wealth that you could have created using a qualified plan goes to Wall Street in the form of fees. 30% may not sound like a lot, but it is a significant number when you're talking about something that's very important to you, and that is your retirement and your retirement savings. And here is the dirty little secret that we'll go back to our graph and help you understand what Wall Street is saying. If you look at this graph, you'll see incremental growth. Over a period of time, it's going up. And the dirty little secret that Wall Street does not want you to understand and see inside this graph is this. They say if we can show incremental growth over time, people will think that they are winning, and they really won't notice the fees that we're taking out every month to manage the accounts. Think about that for a moment. 30% of your wealth goes into Wall Street's pockets through the form of fees, and they say as long as we show them winning, they will not really think about it. 30% is a lot to think about. And then here is another myth that you have probably not considered about Wall Street. You've heard that phrase, you have to weather the storms. There's going to be good years and bad years. There's going to be good months and bad months, and you have to weather the storms. That's not true. And that's what I want you to understand, is that the storms are weathered by those who don't understand how the markets work and financial literacy work. If you're basically putting your money into the hands of Wall Street bankers, they are psychologically telling you and manipulating you to believe that you have to ride the tide and there will always be market ups and downs and corrections. You've heard the phrase, the rich get richer, and they get richer because of a couple of concepts that we're going to be talking about to overcome these myths and secrets about Wall Street and what they're doing to manipulate you and take money out of your pocket. We're going to talk about two of the most powerful concepts in the world of finance. This is what Wall Street does not want you to know. These two things will change the way you think about money and change the way you will view how your money is managed. Those two concepts are recovery and opportunity cost. And once you understand what these are and how they impact your finances, you will probably want to make some changes as to how your money is being managed. Let's talk about recovery. And here's the Wall Street manipulation that I was just talking about earlier, is that they always say that your money will recover because of what? Time. They always use a time factor to say that if we have a market crash or a market correction, don't worry, you have time to recover that money. Here's a myth. You never recover money that you lost in a market crash or correction. That money has gone away. In 2008, when the market crashed about 37%, that money went away, and people that were on the fringe of retirement had to make some changes and probably go back to work or extend their working life because of what Wall Street told them. Don't worry, you have time. That is a myth. You've heard the phrase, the rich get richer. Imagine what could happen to your money if there was no recovery. In other words, if the market never crashed and all you did was take profits. Well, I'm going to tell you something today that Wall Street does not want you to know. There are products out there, the flagship product being the Index Universal Life Insurance Policy, that will allow you to grow your money without recovery. And what I'm going to do is show you a graphical example of the power of the IUL versus your standard qualified plan, 401k, 403b, etc. Let's take a graphical example so you can see what happens. Track for 10 years, let's start off with $100,000. For 10 years, the market is going to go up 10% and it's going to go down 10%. It's going to go up 10% and it's going to go down 10% for 10 years. Now, when I sit down and talk to people, a lot of people, when I tell them, okay, what will your money look like if it went up and down 10% for 10 years? Most people would say, well, it would be pretty much even. You break even. Well, that's not true. And I'm going to show you graphically the result of why qualified plans basically take away your opportunity to get real wealth versus having your money in a position where you're not at risk. If you look at this chart, it is going to show you one of the most powerful concepts in money. This is showing how the market works when the market goes up 10% and goes down 10% when you have your money in a qualified plan versus a cap and floor index universal life insurance policy. This is the key to wealth creation. And if you can understand this chart, you will now be empowered to make some decisions about your life regarding how your finances are managed. So we start off with $100,000. The first year we go up 10%, which means we both now have in the qualified plan and in the Index Universal Life policy, $110,000. The next year, year two, the market goes down 10%. What happens? Well, your qualified plan goes down, but look at your Index Universal Life plan. It stays the same because there's a floor, and that floor is called zero, which means if the market goes down, you're not participating in the market directly, so your finances will have no impact in a downturn of the market. So if we move this along all the way to 10 years, this will dramatically show you what has happened to your money when you have it in a qualified plan. 10 years of this fluctuation of 10%, at the end of that 10th year, you will have approximately $95,000 sitting in your qualified plan versus approximately $161,000 sitting in your Index Universal Life policy. And the reason why is simply this. It's called a cap and a floor. Your money is never at risk when you have an Index Universal Life policy versus when you have your money in the market-based qualified plans. So understand that this is one of the most powerful concepts that you must start to realize, is that when you're playing in the market, your money will always be at risk. And Wall Street bankers don't care whether you win or lose as long as they're getting their monthly maintenance fees. When you have your money where the wealthy put their money in insurance products, you are never at risk. And that is the difference between qualified plans and Index Universal Life. Now, let's take a look at another Wall Street, myth in how money grows. One of the things when you talk about wealthy people is that they use Warren Buffett's two rules. Rule number one, don't lose money. Rule number two, don't ever forget rule number one. So let's talk about the opportunity cost, which is the second powerful concept that we have in finance. And this is where people lose it in terms of thinking that the market will grow back and after a correction, they will get their money back. Well, if you look at this graph, and like I said, I want you to look at it differently now. There's something hidden in this graph that most people don't see, but the wealthy people who understand money and the financially literate people see something very dramatic. That is the opportunity cost of money. Every time you see the market go down on this graph, the money that could have been made is lost. The recovery period means that the money that you were just trying to get even back where you were based on that correction is lost. And so what happens then is Wall Street bankers have basically indoctrinated people to believe that there's going to be ups and downs in the market. Our graph a couple slides ago showed that that's not true when you have your money in an Index Universal Life policy versus a qualified plan. The opportunity cost of money is substantial. And this is where wealth and poverty is started. Most people don't understand how opportunity cost affects their cost of living, affects how they save long term. For example, if you were to go out and spend $1,200 on a big screen TV, well, there's an opportunity cost associated with that big screen TV purchase. And that is $1,200 could have been spent somewhere else that could have actually given you income. And so by not by not using that money for something else, the opportunity cost of that $1,200 has been taken away. And so that is why the wealthy people in this world get wealthy and poor people stay poor, is because they don't understand the actual opportunity cost of money. What does this mean? It simply means this: the Indexed Universal Life Policy is one of the best equity positions you can have in the financial industry. Because there is a cap on the floor, there is no downside risk, and most importantly, no recovery. You can participate in the market without worrying about crashes and corrections. And when a lot of people ask me, what do I do for a living? I simply tell them, I help people reach their long-term financial goals using the same equity strategies that the affluent use every single day that's available to everyone. So let's take a quick summary of the 401k and the IRA. When you have your 401k, IRA, your qualified plans, there's going to always be market risk. You're always going to be in the market, which means if you lose 80, 70, 60, 10% of your money, it's gone. You're always looking at continuous recovery. If the market is corrected, or if the market crashes, you're always going to be looking at the continuous recovery of trying to get back what you already had. There's always going to be a huge opportunity cost over time for your money. Those management fees, greater than 30%. At retirement, you're looking at the government putting their hand in your pocket to the tune of about 30% as well. So if you put 30 and 30 together, you got 60, which means you're really working for 40% of your long-term retirement using a qualified plan. There are no living benefits or death benefits associated with a 401k or IRA. And by the way, less than 1% of Wall Street fund managers have qualified plans. Think about that. They are not in the same boat that you're in. Let's look at the IUL. There's no market risk and no downturn. In other words, there's no recovery and no opportunity cost, which are the most powerful concepts in finance. You also get that tax-free death benefit. If something were to happen to you, your family would get a lump sum tax-free payment based on what your policy has been structured as. You get a tax-free retirement, which means when you accumulate money through the IUL, when you start to take that money out, you're not taxed on it. And if something were to happen to you while you're alive, guess what? Living benefits would kick in, and you could get an accelerated death benefit paid to you to help defray the costs of whatever happened to you. 62% of families have to declare bankruptcy because someone had a critical or chronic illness. 62% of families usually file bankruptcy based on health issues. So, my question is, what do you see now? Do you see an upward trend, or do you see a loss of money and opportunity for your wealth? Think about it. It is your money and your decision. Why would you let Wall Street bankers make decisions for you and you feel like you have to listen to them because they are supposedly the experts? And like I said before, less than 1% of them are in the same financial boat that you are. Give us a call today and take action. God cannot guide your footsteps if you don't move your feet. In other words, take action, because the most emotional subject that comes across people's minds all the time are money. People try to make good decisions, but they can't make good decisions unless they have good information. Give us a call and we will help you structure a program that can help you long-term guide your finances. That is important. Finally, I want to talk about something called pattern interruption and why some win and others don't. Most people get new information put into their brain and they don't act on it. They just had their pattern interrupted. In other words, they just took in a new input, and then what happens is, over time, they tend to not take action on it, and over time, it creeps them back to their comfort zone, and that is the difference between wealth and poverty. Most people, 95%, live paycheck to paycheck because they never take the time to take in new inputs and act on them. So I'm asking you to take action. Give us a call and help us help you structure a plan. I have made a case why the qualified plans are not the best financial decision. It is up to you to take action now and find out how you can join the 5% of the population who know what money looks like and what money works, how money works. Financial literacy is very important. 95% of the population live paycheck to paycheck because they never become financially literate. Here is your opportunity to do that. Take action today.